Good morning, traders. Quick mic check, please. It's been computer decided to crash on me. There's something going on with the video drivers on this computer. Quick mic check. Am I live?
Coming up at 9:15, capacity utilization rate, industrial production,
Cool.
manufacturing production.
Again, sorry we lost 12 minutes. Good morning to you from Chicago. It is Thursday, the 15th of December, 2022. It's 8:12 a.m. here in Chicago. This is episode number 2378. Derivatives trading is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's the positioning this morning. Risk off pretty hard in Europe. The ECB raised by 50 basis points. Lagarde was just out saying that everybody should have expected 50 basis points. ECB's Lagarde was asked if a 3% terminal rate is reasonable, says new market expectations will be embedded into future projections. Good answer. So this is where we stand. We're being dragged down. We hit the key areas that were expected on the FOMC yesterday, and a couple of reminders. We have triple witching Friday tomorrow. The futures, options on equities all expire tomorrow. But the roll is pretty much done. I had this all prepared, and then the graphics card puked, and so I had to restart the computer because I lost control of it. But the roll is pretty much done, so I'm reverting back to using volume and using order flow today. Today is just a normal trading day. Here's the situation with the roll. So you can see the roll today is at 75.79%. The current roll is 75.79% in the ES, and the average is 78.73. So it's 90 some odd percent done. Whatever, 96, 97% done. We are done dealing with the roll in the S&P for now. There are still some effects that are attached or tied to the expiration, in that those people who are short options have to continue to hedge delta. So you're likely to see splashes of size, 100 lots, 500 lots, whatever, to manage delta, especially at key areas. Key areas are the 4,000 millennial figure, which we're below now, 39.75. Every 25 points, you're very likely to see icebergs and some anomalies until we are done with all of it tomorrow. So what's on the news? Again, risk off. The Fed rate decision. Fed was very hawkish yesterday, and the market responded accordingly. The market's really not concerned about inflation anymore. They think the Fed's got it wrong. One second. They think the Fed's got it wrong, and they think that the Fed is going to have to pivot and ease relatively quickly into 2023. Those of you who attended the fireside chat last night watched as Jeff Snyder talked about the indications that the Fed really isn't reading this properly, and the market's completely disagreeing. We see that in the yield curves and so on. So that's what the market's expecting, but as it's doing that, it's expecting that earnings are going to get hit. It's expecting that costs are going to continue to be high. And so equities are responding accordingly, and that's what you see here. Despite the lower CPI, there are bigger problems underlying the price action here, the economy, and the price action is reflecting that. The S&P, BOE, and ECB announced today. Lagarde is still talking. And another piece of news: Musk has sold another $3.5 billion of Tesla stock I think it's throwing good money after bad, but Tesla's off 50% from the high. And then Binance is likely to see some government action. About $1 billion was pulled out from Binance yesterday. So if you have money there, be careful. So that's where we stand. Ooh. So this morning we had retail sales. Retail sales were much worse than expected, negative 0.6 month on month versus negative 0.1 expected. X autos negative 0.2 versus plus 0.2. Philly Fed came in negative at 13.8, expected at negative 10, and initial claims came in strong. So we still have an employment bubble. 211,000 versus 230,000. So that's where that stands. Again, the ECB is on right now, and look out for movements in the euro dollar, the euros, and European products. Look at the euro stocks down 3%, quite substantial, dragging everybody down. The S&P is in a trend down, 327,000 contracts traded, quite heavy. And the inventory 66% short. 66% of today's volume so far has occurred below yesterday's close. 74 points of range tells us there's quite a bit of activity. And we're likely to continue to see some volatility through today. So I want to remind you again to go vote. Wow, this is going to give me seizures. Something's odd about this video card. Go vote today. eclear.me/event voting. We're going to put on these positions. Last week's results, or Tuesday's results. Here's how Tuesday played out. Tuesday, we had that big pop on CPI. Everybody was a high confidence that it would finish above. We actually put in bids. We weren't going to chase the market. Anticipated the selling on Tuesday, as we talked about on the open. So we put in bids that are equivalent to about where the settlement was. The market came down to our bid in the event contracts in the ES. It almost tagged the 40.25 prior settlement from opening at 41.41 or something, and it came right down and didn't fill. So we got no fills on Tuesday's voting, even though everybody was very confident that we would finish higher. We did finish higher, so that's a pretty good call, but we couldn't put a position on. Remember, this money is for charity. This trading account is for charity. EdgeClear will contribute 100% of it to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital by the end of the year. I'd like you to go vote right now so I can put these positions on after we finish the session here. So let's take a look at what was expected yesterday. Here's what I expected yesterday. Look at me there to the bottom left. I look like I'm praying for selling on the Fed. But if you recall, I talked about, us going sideways, 40.70 being a key over underline right here, and it did battle the 40.70 quite a bit. And we ended up kind of squeezing through that 40.70. It didn't hold up. It was very difficult to trade around it. I just didn't find any trades. And but once the Fed came in on the FOMC, the expectation is 39.90. Do you remember why 39.90 was key for the FOMC yesterday? Well, I'll tell you. It is balance. It's the nearest balance. It is the magnet price. It is the price that the market's likely to snap back to on any selling, 39.90. So I showed you that in this video. I showed you that on earlier in the session. There it is again, 39.90. I talked about this being the most likely price. Remember, we held the swing high on that CPI release, and we came back, and what we had is a long liquidation profile. In other words, we opened at the high, we closed at the bottom. This is quite bearish, and I talked about this quite a bit yesterday, and the expectation is we are likely to get attracted back to this number. So the next key thing is that it holds these lows that we have here at 39.50. Remember 39.46? Somebody in here commented about that I was being bearish on this move up all week, and I was wrong. But 39.46 is still in play, and that's right down here. And currently we're trading at 39.69. We took out, yesterday we got down to 39.97, so we didn't hit 39.90 during the session, but the idea was correct. Okay, so let's take a look at the overall picture. Start with a TPO chart. Look at this thing. It's like it opened and it just ground itself all the way into almost 40.90 yesterday. And then finally the number comes out. I think the SOC is like 82 or something. I don't recall. Maybe John's in here. He can remind me. I don't see it on my charts. They're off. It's off the range. But the SOC for the Fed is like 82-ish. And then it just broke down, and it was really about holding shorts. And that's what I did yesterday, is jump on a pullback short at 40.50. I don't know. I posted it in the Convergent Trading Maven's channel. I forget what the fill was. Maybe 40.54. And was looking for this thing to drop back to at least 40.25. Remember the 40.25? Boom, right there. This open settlement price that we missed on CPI day. So expected it back at 40.25, and it ended up pushing and almost getting to 93.75. Okay, great. Thank you. Almost pushing back to the 39.90, but not quite getting there. And then we got a little bounce to settle at 40.30. Remember, we're in that 40.25 range. We're below the 40.70. Below that 40.70, and so now the 40.30, 40.25, 40.30 range. So I'm going to put it on here. 40.25, 40.30 becomes the new LIS. Line in the sand. Look out for this. And then the target is yet again 39.46 in the March contract. 39.46. This is what we're targeting. Okay. We have a wide balance now, so we sold off from the 4100s, above the 4100s. The 4100s are expensive for the S&P 500 fundamentally. So that's just something I picked up from various macro sources. When you look at earnings, when you look at the potential earnings into Q1 of 2023 and so on, 4100s is likely to be tough to hold on to. We went to that 4141 or whatever it was, and sold off. We put in a lower high, and with what we are forming here by taking back this entire, we took back the impulse down upwards, and then we took back the impulse up downwards yesterday. So what we have formed is essentially a pretty big balance zone right in here. And where we are right now at 39.75 is on the low end of that balance zone. The low end of that balance zone, and we are waiting for the next break. Okay, I want to remind you, go vote for the charity program. Go vote, go vote, go vote. I only have 96 votes. I need 100 to put on a position. If you have not voted, scroll up or click on your live chat at the top. It's pinned, a link to go vote. Tell us what you think today will do. Will it settle below or above prior settlement? It's clearly below right now. Prior settlement in the S&P is 40.30. It is trading at 74. By the way, I'm going to start looking at incorporating the NQ into the discussion here. The MNQ has become a very, very popular contract, in fact, eclipsing the ES in some places. We're going to talk about that a little more. But here we are. So intraday, we have a market that's dropping pretty good. Let's get out of here and go to the active chart. I wanted to talk about crude, but not going to have the time this morning. Relative delta. Look at your relative delta. What is this relative delta saying right now? What is this relative delta saying? Look at price. Here's where we opened. That's the 0 point for delta. And then we were above for a while. Delta was snaking around the 0 price. And then we get to here and we start to trend down as the European markets open. We start to trend down and prices are trending down. Yet delta trended down, but boom, the cumulative delta starts to go higher, and it's not controlled by the small or the large lots. It's controlled by both the small and the large lots. And overall, despite the fact that we are way off of our open in the overnight session, the delta is positive. Very large lots selling just now, but the delta is positive. This is an indication that the market may be pumping the brakes on the selling this morning. We do have a weak bottom in the ES. The low is currently weak at 36.96, expecting this to push to 39.69. Expecting it to push to 39.66, but again, it can go as far as 39.46. Wouldn't surprise me. That's my key target below. But look at the delta. The delta is being lifted on new low prices. So this is going to likely be a contested sell-off this morning once we open. Here's what the overnight session looks like. There's the Fed decision. And then the overnight session is really trending down. Multi-distribution, distribution up here, small distribution here, here, and here. Price action well ahead of the VWAP and the mid. We are well below the anchored VWAP from the Fed. There's a lot of room. The market's really accelerated to the downside. I suspect that it's likely to grind lower. I suspect that it's likely to have a hard time continuing to hold these lower prices. Okay, so today, in terms of what the plan is, markets are open. I apologize. I'm gonna have to cut it short here. I need to focus on the market, and I need to let you go. Sorry, we started already very late. Take care. Good luck, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.
New high Russell. New high trend. New high Russell. New high Russell. New high 10-year. New high Russell. New high euro. New high gold. Transports low. New high euro. New high gold. Transports low. Transports low. New high gold. New high Nasdaq. New high Russell. Nasdaq. New high Russell.
MET, MetLife Investment Management, to acquire
New high
Affirmative
gold.
Investment Management. That's Michael Echo Tango. Novavax. Disregard Novavax.
New low DAX. New low DAX.